Is there a secret to a good life? If you'll look at people, you'll see some that when they get older in life, they've had a good life. When they close their eyes in death, they leave behind a good legacy, a good testimony. People remember their memories, and it's a blessed memory. There's other people, it's not quite that way. They look back over their life, it's nothing but regrets. Now, it's natural for us to all have some regrets along the way, but our entire life should not be one of regrets. I want to talk to you about how to have a good life, a life that you can be proud of, a life that leads you to the end of your journey in peace. The reason that many people do not have good lives is because, like the Titanic ship, they ignore warnings. They ignore alerts, things that tell them your life is going off course. The quickest way to start a good life is to change directions. Listen to the warnings. Listen to the patterns. Watch for them of recurring mistakes. Doing the same thing over and over and over in that same circle. It will give you a warning that your life was meant for better things. As the Titanic sailed through the waters, it was headed towards a great life. It was headed to a destiny, but there were warning signs that were ignored. Because I'll admit, none of us likes warnings. We want to just do what we want to do. And that brings me to a man by the name of Stockton Rush. Stockton was the CEO of the Titan manufacturer, which created that little submersible called, Ocean Gate is the company. Titan was the submersible. The man that owns that is Stockton Rush. It was Stockton Rush. May he rest in peace. He was one of the 5 men on board when the submersible exploded. Now, in retrospect, Stockton ignored a number of warnings that were given to him while he was constructing the Titan. He said in his own words that he did not want to hire a bunch of ex-military submarine men. Matter of fact, he called them 50-year-old white guys that just think out of date. That was his words, not mine. He said he wanted his team to be younger, to be more inspirational, to think outside the box. He wanted his team to be more modern. And he said he wanted them to have a variety of different backgrounds. So instead of 50-year-old white men with experience from the submarine world, he just didn't want to be bound down by their warnings. He wanted guys that just had a varied background. He and these young people that he hired dismissed several industry experts' concerns over safety. As a matter of fact, Stockton Rush sought a reputation as an innovator. That's what he wanted to be, as an innovator. And he believed that excessive safety protocols and regulations hindered his ability to shine, his ability to be an innovator and to do things extraordinary. He said on the 60-Minute show these words. He said, "Someone said that you're remembered for the rules that you break." And that's a fact. That was his words. He also said there were a lot of rules out there that did not make engineering sense to my mind. He said, I think I can do this just as safely by breaking those rules. Stockton Rush was an innovator. He just wasn't a safe one. Reminds me a lot of my life when I broke rules because I wanted to be an innovator. I wanted to do things without the burden of the rules. But you see, friends, physical laws are unyielding. They do not yield for any innovator. They don't care how inspirational you are or how great your ideas, how grandiose they are, how big your dreams are, how great your vision is. The laws of nature and physical laws and laws of circularity, they never yield to your ideas. Or how diverse your engineering team is, or how cool they are, or how on the cutting edge they are. Because when that submersible, the Titan, was 2.5 miles underwater, it was being squeezed literally by 1.5 tons of pressure per square inch. After 45 minutes of its dive, the United States Navy heard an unusual sound. It was the sad sound of an implosion that killed everyone on board. You and I are a lot like Stockton Rush. We believe that the rules are outdated. We believe that because it doesn't make sense to us, it doesn't apply to us. We prioritize inspiration, diversity, equity as trendy virtues, and we break all kinds of rules that have been rock solid since the beginning of existence. You know, rules such as a nuclear family, a mom and a dad and a child. But whenever we want to be motivational, inspirational, get outside of the box, those rules doesn't make sense to us, so therefore we break them. And this mindset where we don't need institutions, we don't need the church, we don't need hierarchy, we don't need things that curtail our zeal, our inspiration. When we think like that, that drives us to all sort of radical innovations, such as innovations to defund the police, right? There's an ancient rule that you have to rule by force. You can only curtail crime by law and order. You're never, ever going to get rid of that rule, as all these major cities are finding out now. They tried to defund the police, and now they're trying to defund the police, right? Because there are some laws that you cannot break. You know, we're trying to replace meat from animals now with lab-engineered food to erase national borders that have stood since time began, walls, borders. We want to erase those because it's not innovative. We want something fresh, something new. We want to boost ethnic and cultural diversity. Forget those walls. Tear down those walls, we say. But those walls have stood for generations because there's certain rules that never change. National sovereignty is one of those rules. And then, in order for us to be creative, we want to break the rules of biological sex. gender. Let's just erase all those rules because just like the creator of the Titan, they don't make sense to us. Thousands of years of tradition. Let's not respect the office of the presidency. Let's not respect the judge. Let's not respect the man of God. Let's not respect these institutions, these traditions that have existed for thousands of years. All of that experience and that wisdom are now cast aside without hesitation in order to be more diverse. The trouble is, and it is a lot of trouble, in so many of these areas, what is actually being cast aside is not prejudice or parochialism or stodginess or any of those things. What we're throwing away is immutable, irreplaceable laws. They're going to be here when your creative mind is gone. These laws will still be in existence. The law is given by the lawmaker. They cannot be broke without suffering for it. Yes, you can break laws. You definitely can. You can break any law you want to break. And you may get by with it for a while. But laws, when they're broken, there are consequences to breaking those laws. You will suffer for it. And that gets us back to the subject of how do you have a good life? Quit breaking the law, especially Yahweh's law. That's God. Don't break his immutable laws. When you have that is innovation because you've broken a tradition or a pattern, it's not innovation, it's an illusion. Because the day will come when the chickens will come home to roost. You will pay the price for breaking God's law and even man's law and nature's law. All you have to do to prove what I'm saying is look around. The more that people cast aside God's law governing family, morality, sex, health, commerce, leadership, government, religion, the more we see lives imploding all around us. Why? We wanted to be cool instead of any tradition, any rules, any laws. And now our nations are imploding. This is a rapidly compacting version of what human beings have been doing for 6,000 years. Since the Garden of Eden, the world has suffered from criminality, poverty, conflict, corruption, disease, malevolence. Why? Because the very first human beings wanted to be innovative. They wanted to be creative. They wanted to think outside the box, and they wound up living outside the garden. And because of that, because the serpent told them, do not listen to the rules, they will only hinder your innovation, he said. You're remembered for the rules you break, is what Stockton Rush told us. And sadly, Stockton, you were correct. You're remembered today by the rules you broke. I want to encourage you, fall in love with the law of God. Don't believe the modern Christian lie that the law has been done away with, that it's been nailed to a cross. I promise you those scriptures have been misinterpreted to you. That's why you will be a Christian with no direction for your life. You may have the blood of Christ, you may have the Holy Spirit, but no law to guide you, to guide your footsteps. If you want a good life today, and I know you do, we all do, then don't do like Stockton Rush. don't break the rules. I know from experience, I've been there. I've suffered, oh God, have I suffered for breaking the rules. But the older I get, the more I come to know that these things have been placed in our lives not to control us, but to give us that abundant life. Thank you for watching.